Welcome in, everybody, to Fantasy Pros. This is the Fantasy Football Podcast. It is me, Joey P, Joe P. Zapia, and today we're back with another mock draft episode. This time, we've listened to the people, and we know you love the Superflex, so we're going to do a Superflex draft today. Myself, Derek Brown, Andrew Erickson, fresh off the Expo, and Terrell Furman, our new full-time pro here, to help you get ready for your fantasy drafts. And of course, we're using our Discord users to help us help you, because it's more fun than drafting against the bots. We love to get everybody involved. So, Mr. Terrell, you are at number 1 today. I'm at the 4 spot. Erickson's at 6. Debro is at 9. Joining us today, Stick Pig, Burf, Aaron, a.k.a. DVR, who is always at the top of these drafts. Lack of Mind, Grim's in here. I see Trusted Venom and OG here for us. Puppy Power, and in the 12 spot, Navy. So drafting for an entire core of our military. Speaking of military veterans here, Terrell Furman, salute to you. We've also got you joining us here. Make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel, drop your comments below, and make sure you ring that bell for notifications, because Monday we've got it all going on here at Fantasy Pros. Get ready for the ultimate Fantasy Football Showdown. The 5th annual Fantasy Pros Fest is happening live on the 19th, Monday. Be there, 3 p.m. Eastern, noon Pacific. 5 hours of fantasy football right in your face. It's going to be fantastic. We've got an incredible lineup of guests: Lindsey Rhodes, Jamie Eisenberg, Scott Pianowski, and a whole lot more. So make sure you hang out with us all day, or if you miss it, that's okay. It's all going to be on our YouTube channel. So subscribe, ring the bell for notifications, drop your comments below too. But remember, Fantasy Fest is happening live. You can get in there, get your questions answered too, potentially. We've got an amazing group of the best analysts in the world. Chris Raybon's joining us too. It's an amazing group. I'm excited to be a part of it. We want you to be a part of it too. So, gentlemen, let's kick things off here. We already have our draft spots. We are going to play today. Again, a Superflex league. It is full PPR also, just for the roster so people know. 2 quarterbacks, 3 wides, tight end, a flex, and a Superflex. We do have a defense in here too, because I like defense, and, well, I set up the draft at the end of the day. So, Andrew Erickson, you picked the 6th spot in the Superflex. That was kind of close to where you drafted with me just last weekend. What is the hope here and the plan that you're trying to put out there for this spot?
Come away with one at least elite quarterback, in my view, and I think that you need usually a top 6 or top 7 pick to get one of the top tier quarterbacks, and then hope that that one of the best skill position players falls to me in the second round. So that's kind of my plan going in: hit quarterback first, hit the end of that tier, and then hopefully get one of these best skill position players to fall to me in round 2.
There you have it. All right, the draft has begun. Patrick Mahomes, that's the 1 QB on my board, and it must be the same one that you have, Terrell, because you selected him over Allen, over Lamar. I was hoping Lamar would drop to me at 4. He did not. He went at 3. Let's break down the choice of Patrick Mahomes. For you, Terrell, why is he now the 1-1 in Superflex this year again?
Yeah, I'm buying the dip here on Patrick Mahomes. Everybody thinks Josh Allen's going to be the one because of the season he had last year, and Josh Allen weapons scare me. I don't think they're that good. I don't think Josh Allen is honestly one of the best quarterbacks. Patrick Mahomes, who I think is the GOAT, comes in here when everybody healthy. He has a huge assortment of weapons with Hollywood Brown, Rashee Rice pending a suspension. Travis Kelce looks healthier than he was last year. I think that this is going to be a big year for Pat.
Yeah, I would agree. And it's not that crazy to think that he could lead the league in passing again. 5,200 yards in 2022, 4,800 the year before that. Last year was a down year. Buying the dip is right. The second pick overall was Josh Allen, then Lamar Jackson, as I mentioned, at 3. I took Jalen Hurts at 4. Okay, fine. That's the consolation prize for me. Christian McCaffrey goes at 5 to DVR. So there's your strategy for those of you not looking to take a quarterback in the first, because it has been all QBs here in this one. So we're basically pushing the first round to the second round here, it looks like. So Richardson goes to you. Good spot here at 6. Andrew, that seems to be exactly what you were looking to do.
Yep. Grabbed Anthony Richardson. He did not look the best in the preseason, admittedly. Definitely looked a little rusty. Definitely looked like a guy that only played 4 games last year, but hoping that they fine-tune some things as they get into the regular season with Shane Steichen. Believe in this offense, and I believe in their rushing. So they have Michael Pittman and then a bunch of question marks of the other receiving weapons. So it's throw to Michael Pittman, run the ball with Jonathan Taylor, or run the ball with Anthony Richardson.
Speaking of running the ball, Kyler Murray goes at 107, ahead of Stroud at 108. Debro went to you at 109, and you went quarterback as well.
Yeah, I took Burrow. Top of tier 2, he's my QB7 right now, and I'm just buying into I think this team is going to pass and pass a ton. So Burrow right now feels like the end or the beginning of a tier.
Okay, so Burrow goes at 109, Jamar Chase goes to Venom at 110, then CeeDee Lamb at 11. Then the last pick of the 12th round is Tyreek Hill. So the wide receivers going off the board pretty late there, but no double up so far. So what we have is Dak Prescott at the 201. So they went quarterback at the turn. A lot of people are asking. We had a great conversation, in fact, yesterday on Out of Bounds, which is an audio-only podcast here on our Discord that you can listen to wherever you get your pods. Listen to Fantasy Pros. But someone was talking about, what do I do there at the 12 spot in Superflex? And we kind of hashed out some of the QBs we'd be looking to get, and Jordan Love, Jaden Daniels, two of them. Dak Prescott was still there, so Dak goes off the board. Bijan at 202, Jordan Love at 203, right before Debro can pick. But I think Jaden Daniels, Debro, is what you wanted anyway, and that's what you got.
Yeah, totally happy with that. I mean, this is all very similar to the start that I had in Superflex for Flex League. I mean, Jane Daniels could be a hammer as a QB2. I mean, a guy that I've got ranked right now is my QB9. I know others in the industry have him a little bit higher, but what do we want to see out of him? We talked about this, and now we have some preseason action, boys. I know it was limited, but Jane Daniels still looked amazing. We saw him run. We saw the deep ball accuracy. I mean, look, in formats where you can get him as your QB2 in Superflex, that could give you the advantage if he does turn in like a top 7, top 5 type of season. And I think it's in his range of outcomes.
Certainly is. Jaden Daniels, an extraordinary talent. Very happy to be having him in my Dynasty League this year, especially I need some help at quarterback, so that was good for me. I'm on Ross St. Brown at 205, Breece Hall at 206, and then Erickson, Justin Jefferson falls all the way to 27 for you. I saw this morning in the Flex League online draft, he lasted all the way to the 8th spot, too, in a single quarterback league. The J.J. McCarthy news, kind of a little bit of a downer there for a lot of people. He could miss 4 to 6 weeks with the knee issue. As of now, we don't know the extent of it, but you got to imagine 4 to 6 weeks at the minimum, then a couple weeks to ramp up. So we're looking well into the second half of the season. So Sam Darnold looks to be the quarterback so far for the Minnesota Vikings. So are you happy to get Justin Jefferson here all the way at 207, Erickson?
I would have been happier if Breece Hall fell to me instead of Justin Jefferson. if you want to have the truth serum. But look, I think with Justin Jefferson, I think he's going to see 200 targets in this offense. Who else are they going to throw the ball to? Hawkinson's not going to come back till midway through the year. I think that they're trying to be more optimistic about it, but we don't know. Jordan Addison's going to get suspended for at least 3 games at some point. And they're talking up Jalen Naylor as the guy. Johnny Munt. These are the guys they're talking about in Minnesota. So Sam Darnold, say what you want. He's in a perfect offensive infrastructure. This has never been the case for him. So as a veteran player, I think that he can support Justin Jefferson. We saw it last year with Baker Mayfield. He supported, it was a good offensive infrastructure, and he supported Mike Evans despite everybody digging Mike Evans' grave. And then what did Mike Evans do? What he always does is produce. And Justin Jefferson, what does he always do? Produce.
There you go. Jefferson goes at 207, then Brock Purdy at 208. I took the stack there since I ended up with Hurts. Well, I'll take a little A.J. Brown at 209. That's fine by me. I look for a better year out of the Eagles. Last year, too much pressure, too tough of a schedule. Coming off the bad Super Bowl loss, I think it's time to buy back into the Eagles. We're talking about buying into dips. This is a great time to do that. A.J. Brown's still one of the elite wide receivers out there, and I'm very happy about my next pick, but we'll put that to the back burner for now because Garrett Wilson went at 210. Jahmyr Gibbs, despite some injury issues with him, cropping up at 211. And then back to Terrell. Give us your 2 picks here. Tua and Jonathan Taylor. Let's break them down. You went second quarterback and you went with an RB.
Yeah, I would have loved to get Garrett Wilson. I was looking at Garrett Wilson and he got sniped from me. So I would have liked to go wide receiver here. I really didn't feel like I needed a second quarterback, but looking at the board, starting with Patrick Mahomes and Tua, it feels great. Like I don't have anything to worry about in the quarterback position. I think that's going to make up for any shortcomings I may have. But then Jonathan Taylor, who I think is still going to be really, really good in this offense because of the deterrent that is Anthony Richardson in the run game. He's going to open things up for Taylor a little bit more. So I think Taylor can have a really good year still.
Some really interesting builds here. Erickson's going to go quarterback, then 2 wide receivers. Same for me. And then you see lack of mine going quarterback, 2 running backs. We're going to break down those rosters in just a moment. After Taylor in the 3rd round begins, then Jared Goff at 302. It's one of the earlier Jared Goff picks I've seen, but I like it. Stick Pig going out there being aggressive. Caleb Williams at 303, which means Marvin Harrison Jr. fell in my lap. It was a choice between him and Puka. And for me, everybody knows I'm on brand. It's Marvin Harrison. All the targets, all the upside. I just love Marvin Harrison. Puka goes at 305 to DVR, and then staying on brand, Speaking of that, Andrew Erickson, who'd you take at 306?
Jalen Waddle. That's my guy. I love the upside. Wide receiver 1 proven. Everyone's drafting all these receivers that they're hoping they finally get a wide receiver 1 finish out of this guy. Waddle's done it twice already. And he was bad last year and still went over 1,000 yards. So I'm going to keep drafting Jalen Waddle.
Saquon Barkley goes next at 307. So Lackemine has Murray, Breece Hall, Saquon Barkley. That's a heck of a start there. Really interesting build. We'll see what kind of wide receivers they end up with. Drake London goes to the Grim at 308, right before Derek Brown. Did that grind your gears, Derek, or were you happy with Chris Olave, who ended up drafting next?
It hurt. I'm not going to lie. It hurt. But look, I feel like this start is how I'm starting in most Superflex leagues, going QB, depending on how the QBs go in the first 2 rounds, and then looking at wide receivers. So looking at the guys right there, I was going to be happy if I could have got London, Olave, or even Pittman at that pick. So really loving the build so far.
Loving the build, he says. After Chris Olave, Trevor Lawrence at 310, and then Devontae Adams at 311, followed by Travis Etienne, and then Michael Pittman Jr. at the turn at 4. Before we give you the rest of the picks on the 4th, make sure you throw another shrimp on the Barbie and get all in on UFC 305 action live from the land down under at DraftKings Sportsbook, the official sports betting partner of the UFC. The middleweight title's on the line for the main event, but the card is stacked and full of a lot of great matches. So if you're talking about trying to make some money, maybe dipping your toes into the water, DraftKings is a place to do it for sports betting. So download the DraftKings Sportsbook app right now. Use that promo code FantasyPros. Again, that code FantasyPros. New customers get $150 in bonus bets when you bet just $5 on UFC 305. And it's going to be a ripper of a good time. Only on DraftKings, the crown is yours. They actually encourage me to say it that way. I'm sorry. We should be discouraging me. After the Michael Pittman selection to start the 4th round, Matthew Stafford, Brandon Ayuk dropping all the way to 403 with still uncertainty. But D-Bro, one of my favorite guys, falls to you, Nico Collins at the 404.
Yeah, still just going hammering wide receivers at this point in the draft. Still a lot of really good running backs still on the board. So taking Nico here, a lot of ways that I could have gone with wide receivers, but we saw Nico at various points last season. He was the only guy producing alpha level upside and targets. I'm not going to rule out that he could still do that, even flanked by Tank Dell and Stephon Diggs this season.
Okay. After Nico goes, Derrick Henry goes to the Grim at 405. What a tremendous value for the Grim. Stroud, Amon-Ra, Drake London, Derrick Henry. Ooh-wee. Somebody's using the Joey P cheat sheet in here. And by the way, we are using our mock draft software here, Draft Wizard, which is what you all should be using. It's the best way to prepare, sync your leagues for free. Go download Draft Wizard or go to fantasypros.com/Draft Wizard because it is absolutely the quintessential tool to help you with all your drafts. You can create cheat sheets. You can sync your league and get draft intel of how everyone in your drafts tend to draft and then draft against those bots to actually get you ready for your own draft. It's incredible. I've been using it for all the expert drafts I'm in. I'm using it right now for the charity league for St. Jude's, for Black Book. Right now I'm drafting. It is so helpful. Great way to look at the board. Great way to get the right pick every single time. And that's what it's all about. So go use that bad boy. Mike Evans goes next at 406. Then Devon Achane. All right, here we go. Now we're getting interesting, Erickson. Rolling the dice with the big upside. How do you feel about this pick?
Going big, go home. That's the way I like to play. Miami Dolphins. Let's go.
There you go. Let's go, baby. I'm on the precipice right now of just passing up on RBs. So this is going to be a fun draft. We're going to see how this ends up for me. So after Devon Achane goes, Sam Laporta goes next at 408. I took Kirk Cousins. To me, a really steady second quarterback. I love this with Atlanta. Got something to prove. Give me Kirk Cousins because after that, we're into that other group there with the Staffords, the Rodgers. I don't feel as comfortable with those guys as I do with Kirk Cousins. Isaiah Pacheco goes next at 410. Stick Pig at 411 selects Kyron Williams. And then, Terrell, you got your wide receivers, DJ Moore and Malik Neighbors. Those are pretty good consolation prizes, my friend. You got to be thrilled with that.
Yeah, I love it. I mean, DJ Moore just got the big payday. They really, really trust him in that offense, and he was great. He continues to ball out. Carolina, Chicago, it doesn't matter. And then, humble New York Giants fan, Malik Neighbors, he's going to be fine week 1.
There you go. He's going to be fine, everybody. Dr. Terrell is in on it. Cooper Kupp goes next at 502, then Deebo Samuel at 503. I just can't pass at 504 on Travis Kelce. It was him or Rashad White. I'm going to have some fun today. Maybe go a little not zero RB, but lower RB. Maybe it is zero RB. If you missed that show, by the way, go watch it. Great discussion we had, Erickson, Debro, myself, about the hero RB versus zero RB, which guys to target. Hopefully I'm going to get some of those guys, but Rashad White at 505 goes next. Then Mark Andrews to you. So Erickson, Laporte is off the board. Kelsey's off the board. Mark Andrews is your third tight end off this board because you passed on Trey McBride.
He's my number one tight end in my rankings. So I feel great about the pick. So that's who I'm going with. I didn't think that he was going to come back to me. The draft intel tool was telling me, hey, there are a bunch of teams that need tight ends after you pick. And we're starting to see tight ends kind of come off the board here. So I wanted to make sure I got my elite tight end who I love drafting, Mark Andrews.
This is one of the later tight end runs that I've seen so far. So Devonta Smith goes, and then Grimm once again sticks the knife into Derek Brown. Not only did he take his Drake London, he took his Trey McBride. Debro, are you okay?
I was hurting. I'm not gonna lie. That snipe really hurt. I only have one player in my queue, and it was McBride. So that didn't feel great. But again, going with a zero RB approach, I didn't walk into this draft saying I was definitively going to do that. But as the board has fallen, I was gonna go with that one. I mean, look, sitting at the board, I love the running backs that are still out there right now. The volume that you can still get at this point of the draft. So. Yeah, I'm just going to take another wide receiver. And DK Metcalf, I think he has wide receiver 1 upside this year. So taking the shot.
All right, he's taking shots, folks. We'll see what happens on the way back. After DK goes, Joe Mixon at 5'10", Ken Walker at 5'11", then Justin Herbert, that plantar fascia issue, pushing his value pretty far, and I don't disagree with it. That's the kind of injury that can really linger into a season, and people are already a little sour on Herbert. He went from being a value to now kind of really being pushed into that questionable situation, and that's not a great one. Debro, are you concerned with Herbert and that foot injury? Because that's one that does tend to affect performance well into the season for some guys. I'm not saying it's going to, but that possibility is looming. Do you think Herbert in the 5th round is a great value you can't pass on, or would you have taken maybe an Aaron Rodgers over him?
I would just wait. Right now, I mean, we've got so many questions about the Chargers offense. I mean, they've had guys banged up in camp, Herbert being one of them, and we know that we have worries about the passing volume in that offense. So for Herbert and his outlook, the way that I was looking at his season, I was like, I hope he runs some more to kind of help with the passing volume that's going to be sucked out of this offense by Roman. But with a foot issue, it's probably not going to happen. So I would just bypass him and just go further down the list as far as QB2 or QB3.
Okay, continuing on with the draft here, we have got a board of, let's see, Justin Herbert goes, then Amari Cooper beginning the 6th round, Zay Flowers at 602, then Stephon Diggs, Terry McLaurin, one of my favorites to you, Debro. Kudos, well done. So now Olave, Nico, DK Metcalf, Terry McLaurin, Debro and I are hating on the RBs today. That's what's going on. We'll see who blinks first. Aaron Rodgers goes next at 605, and then Deshaun Watson at 606. Josh Jacobs, intriguing here, Erickson. You took the upside of a guy like Achane and then a boring old Josh Jacobs. Was that intentional or just, hey, that's the best RB on the board, I'm just going to go that route?
No, this was strategic. I talked about it on the Hero RB show that I don't like Devon Achane as a Hero RB because I don't know what his workload is going to be. He's much more boom or bust, I think, on a week-to-week basis, but I want to get those spike weeks. But in the games where maybe he doesn't rip off that 80-yard touchdown, well, I don't want to be screwed. So Josh Jacobs, look, looks like he's going to be last man standing sooner rather than later in Green Bay. Marshawn Lloyd's dealing with a hamstring injury. A.J. Dillon continues to somehow be worse than he was last year, if that's even possible. So, yeah, I'm starting to warm up a little bit more to Josh Jacobs because this backfield, this offense is going to score points. And at worst, he's going to be their goal line back because A.J. Dillon showed last year and in the preseason that he can't do that. He can't convert in the short. So Josh Jacobs, for me, yeah, I'm starting to warm up to him, and I like him pairing with Devon Achane.
T. Higgins goes right before me at 608. So I did blink. I took Alvin Kamara at 609. It is a PPR league, so I feel pretty good about this so far. James Cook at 610, then Christian Kirk at 611. Terrell, 2 picks for you. You went tight end and wide receiver. Let's talk about Dalton Kincaid and Deontay Johnson.
Yeah, Dalton Kincaid is getting, excuse me, he's getting to that back end of that tier where I really just don't want to mess with too many tight ends after him. And so I'm not an Evan Ingram guy. I had him up there in case I missed out on Kincaid, but I was happy to get Kincaid here before that long wait on the turn. And then Deontay Johnson, I considered a couple of running back options listening to you both talk about how much you needed running back and figured that a run of running backs would go before it got back to me. But Deontay Johnson was just too good to pass up in this offense that I think is going to be a lot better for the Carolina Panthers. I think he's going to be a PPR machine, and I love him as my third wide receiver.
Aaron Jones goes next, so perhaps a harbinger of more RBs to go. We'll see. Keenan Allen at 703, and then George Pickens falls to me as my third wide receiver at 704. I love that. Got 3 number ones in our offenses. I got a tight end who plays like a wide receiver in Travis Kelce. I don't care if it's a little limited this year in terms of snap count. Travis Kelce, I think, bounces back this year in a big way. Alvin Kamara is still the only running back I've got. We'll see what happens. DVR then takes Chris Godwin right after. Good value in 705. Rashee Rice, Erickson, you and I were talking on the train in New York, looking at that date of December 9th saying, maybe you don't get any clarity on Rashee Rice and a suspension in 2024 at all. Maybe it's looking more like 2025, and you are putting your money where your mouth is. He is your third wide receiver in a great offense.
Yeah, I think that his price is going to remain low and wrong across all these sites that you're drafting, because everybody early on, when they were ranking these players and drafting these players, were assuming that Rashee Rice was going to get suspended at some point. And like you said, it seems like that's probably not going to happen. Probably going to get suspended in 2025. And if anything, the Chiefs are just going to continue to push it down the road as they look to three-peat here. So, and to add, Marquise Brown is not going to be available. He's going to miss the rest of training camp with a shoulder injury. And that's putting Rice in a position to just absolutely smash as a guy that in early best ball drafts was picked in round 2. And you're getting him available round 4, 5, 6. So be aggressive. Reach on Rashee Rice before his ADP, because that's where he should be going.
Love the pick. I'm also a little annoyed because all the running backs I wanted just all went out of my queue at once here. After Tank Dell at 707, then Grimm took Zamir White. That was the guy I was hoping would make it back to me, but he didn't. Derek Brown, you took Kyle Pitts. We'll come back to you. I know you're up on the clock right now for your next pick in the 8th round. Ramondre Stevenson, gone. James Conner, gone. David Montgomery and DeAndre Swift at the turn. The double dip in RB is going to hurt me. I have a bad feeling about it. So we're going to have to pivot like Ross from Friends. Evan Ingram at 802. Then Brian Robinson right before Derek Brown goes. He is on tilt, folks. Whoever got Venom and Grimm just punching Derek Brown back and forth. It's like that scene in Christmas Vacation with Chevy Chase is walking on the platform board in the attic, and every time he turns around, smacks him in the face. That kind of feels like today's draft for you. But Jalen Warren, the consolation prize. Let's talk about Pitts. Let's talk about Warren, D-Bro.
Yeah, so I misjudged the draft room here. I looked at draft intel, I looked at where it was going, and I noticed before my next pick, up there in the 7th round, every team behind me needed a tight end. So I was like, okay, well, Pitts and Kittle are that last bit of the elite tier for me. So I was like, I'm going to take Pitts here, and hopefully one of these running backs falls to me. I really hoped like one of Connor or Ramondre Stevenson, Brian Robinson Jr., one of these guys fell to me, and running backs just got pummeled. So looking at, the team build and stuff, I mean, I could have gone with somebody that I'm hoping falls back to my next pick. Probably doesn't happen over Warren, but I'll take the upside swing on Warren. If anything happens to Najee, Warren will be an RB1. Right now, you can put him in that RB2, RB3 conversation. And we still don't know how that backfield in the red zone work specifically is going to be divided up. So I'll take the upside shot here with Warren. I don't feel great about him being the RB1 on this team, but I'll take the upside swing considering the other names on the board.
All right, let's go to the rest of the picks here. After Jalen Warren goes to D-Bro, Calvin Ridley at 805, Raheem Mostert at 806, Xavier Worthy to you, Andrew Erickson. So doubling up on KC wide receivers. Any concerns with that you picked the wrong guy the wrong week all year?
Didn't Terrell talk about how Patrick Mahomes is the GOAT? I think that he can fuel 2 wide receivers of their talent between Xavier Worthy and Rashee Rice. I mean, Mahomes has a 50 touchdown, 5,000 passing yard season loaded. It's going to happen. So I assume that Rice and Xavier Worthy are going to be part of that.
Fair enough. That's a pretty good way to look at it. Again, good offensive ecosystems yield fantasy points. That's what it's about. Jane Reed at 808, which means it comes back to me now. I am on the clock. I'm looking at the queue, trying to figure out where I'm going here. Oh, man, I don't love the running backs here. I just don't. So instead, I'm just going to keep pounding the table at wide receiver. So give me Christian Watson. He's still out there at 809. That's where I'm going here. So Alvin Kamara, you're my hero, baby, on this team. We'll see how this goes. George Kittle goes next at 810. Stick Pig is up next. And Terrell, you are up for 2 picks. Terrell, what are you hoping to do with these next 2 picks that you've got here?
Well, I'm looking to grab my second running back. I was playing a little bit hero RB with Jonathan Taylor here, and I would love to go ahead and get another running back. Najee Harris goes right before me though, so that kind of killed the last bit of a tier. I don't like Tony Pollard. I don't like Javonte Williams this season. So I'm probably gonna sit here and grab another wide receiver that I'm high on. I think he's gonna make the leap in Jackson Smith and Jigma. Think that I like that pick there. And then I'm going to come back and I'm going to grab a running back that a little bit further down, but I'm pretty sure he's not going to make it back to me. Devin Singletary. I think Devin Singletary can be pretty solid in this Giants offense, and D-Bro's reaction tells me that I made a great pick.
That was the guy that I
knew he wasn't coming back to me.
Yeah, he was not. I mean, I was even considering him. I wanted Najee Harris to make it back to me, but I just couldn't look. Najee Harris is just Najee Harris at this point. I think the Christian Watson upside is still huge. I think it's like low end wide receiver 1 upside. That's how good I think Christian Watson could be with Jordan Love. Najee Harris, I think he's capped already. And that's when you have to make these kind of decisions on the board here. Devin Singletary goes, then Hopkins goes, Tony Pollard goes at 903, 904. It's back to me. And now things are rough out in the running back streets. So let me just tell you, Javonte Williams, let's give it a go. I mean, at this point, it is what it is, as the kids like to say. So we're going to go ahead. That's the highest guy on the board here. And we'll have to take some shots here at running back. I've got a plan. Some of my favorite guys still out there on the board, those late RBs. I'm going to hope that nobody snipes them from me. We'll see how it goes. So after Javonte Williams goes, Diviar's up next. Erickson, you're on the board for 906. Geno Smith goes off the board. That's the second quarterback for Diviar, going with the low, or should I say hero QB strategy with Brock Purdy and then Geno Smith all the way in the 9th round. Erickson, what are you doing here? You also have just one QB. Is it time to pull the trigger on a second?
Well, I thought it was until Diviar, the sharp that he is, drafted Geno Smith. So, oh God, now I'm panicking. Now I don't know what to do.
Baker. It's Baker Mayfield season. Let's go.
Yeah, I guess I'm just gonna auto Baker at this point. Whatever. Oh, Chase Brown. Oh, I forgot he was in my queue. Let's go.
Oh, look at that. Chase Brown. So there you go. Chase Brown, a little more upside. Don't worry. You can still get Will Levis or Sam Darnold later on, or even Daniel Jones. Remember when Derek was writing love letters to Daniel Jones last year? That was fun. That was a good time.
He didn't write me back, Joe.
He did not write me back. But he did grow a beard. He does look better with the beard. Maybe bearded Daniel Jones.
He's going for that more rigged look because he knows he's going to get hit 1,000,000 times. So he's got to be ready.
Why does he look like a deer in the headlights with every single time they put him in front of a microphone? Like the guy just stares at the.
I mean, because he's seen the offensive line he's played behind the last 5 years. Terrified of anything.
Play off the caffeine, dude.
Yeah, no, I think the beard helps a little bit. Maybe a little more protection for his face. Maybe he can hide behind the beard.
He's now upgraded from baby gap to full on gap model.
There you go. That's a nice progression to have. Ferguson goes next at 907, then Jonathan Brooks at 908. Debro goes next at 909, and you went RB, not Brooks. He went right before you, but Tajee Spears instead. Would you have taken Brooks if he was still there?
I would have taken Brooks. I mean, the running backs in his last few, they've just been hammered. I mean, every guy, this is the scary part with zero RB. And if I could go back and redo, not draft Kyle Pitts and wait on maybe George Kittle, considering how far he fell in this draft, I would have done that. But running backs in these last 2 rounds have just been absolutely pummeled. So I like getting Tajee Spears. Again, I'm really playing the same kind of game that with the Jaylen Warren selection with Tajee Spears. Committee backfield, we don't know how it's going to shake out. Both of these guys were efficiency monsters last year. If they get the lead of that backfield, they can crush. But again, it's a dice roll.
It is a dice roll. As we continue on with the draft here, Ladd McConkey goes at 9-10, then Will Levis at 9-11, Hollywood Brown at the turn to begin the 10th round, David Njoku, Roma Dunze off the board, Cortland Sutton off the board, 2 guys in my queue that are no longer available. Debro, up to you at 10:04. What do you got?
I'm going to go Jerome Ford. Again, I needed to backfill the running back room, and I think, honestly, I don't think that, considering all the other running backs that have gone lately, I don't think that he should have still been on the board. So I've really got to grab him and kind of shore up that room because I'm looking pretty good everywhere else. I mean, wide receiver room is looking stacked as well as quarterbacks and tight ends. So
Yeah,
Love
wide
to get
receiver room.
Jerome Ford.
Your wide receiver room is stacked. Look, you went back-to-back QB. You were going to get hurt somewhere. That's a lesson too for everybody in Superflex leagues. When you go back-to-back QB, something's got to give there. You're either going to give a little at wide receiver or give a little at running back. I'm with you, Derek, in this build. I'd rather give a little bit more at running back because that's replacement value on the waiver wire. That's guys you can draft late that end up hitting, some of these young running backs coming in the league too. Second half of the year starting to emerge. But the wide receiver room of Olave, Collins, Metcalf, and McLaurin, that is a great four for sure. Jerome Ford goes to Debro, then Blake Corum, one of those guys I was mentioning. You can take a shot on later, 10:05. Zach Moss at 10:06. Oh, look at you. You learned from Uncle Joey. The next quarterback off the board is Justin Fields. Let's go, Erickson, because if you didn't do it, I was probably going to.
Rainforest Cafe talks making it to the pod,
I know once we enter round 9, it's time to draft Justin Fields. I learned that the hard way during flex drafts. So even though I missed out on Geno, I was like, oh, wait, I still got Justin Fields in round 10. So there you go.
You still do. I'm just going to PPR running back this board because after you took Fields, Zeke went. So I'll take Austin Eckler. Maybe I get something special. Maybe I don't. He's the third RB. It's okay. I'm going to be playing RB roulette here most of the year with this team. That's okay. I'm good with that. Again, something's got to give. I'll take A.J. Brown, Marvin Harrison, Travis Kelce, Pickens, and Watson. I'll go to war with that group. Burf up next at 10:10 selects Jordan Addison. We'll see what his stock is like now that the J.J. McCarthy upside's off the board. Keon Coleman goes next at 10:11. I don't know how Rel felt about that one. Terrell, you're up next for 2 picks, ending the 10th and beginning the 11th.
Yeah, I appreciate taking Keon Coleman because I'm going to take the real wide receiver one in Curtis Samuel. And I think he's going to be a great play. So I'm there's a couple of running backs that'll give me some depth that I like way further down the draft. So I'll wait for those. So I'm going double wide receiver here. Give me Curtis Samuel and Jacoby Myers, who people forget about. There was only 2 targets in that offense last year, and it was Devontae Adams and Jacoby Myers. Now they add Brock Bowers. And is that going to hurt a little bit? Yeah, but I still think Jacoby Myers will be really, really good. So I got Jacoby Myers.
You're a jerk because you took him right from me. He was the next player in my queue to go. I had him all ready to go. Good job. Curtis Samuel, Jacoby Myers. Well done, my friend. Brock Bowers goes next at 11:02. Burf is up next, so I am waiting patiently here. Bowers is actually another guy I was thinking of. You know what? I'm behind at RB. Maybe, just maybe, we throw a dart and see in the second half of the year if I can get Nick Chubb to be Nick Chubb for a playoff run. That's what I'm thinking about. So here we go. Now I'm going to try to make up some ground here. I've seen Nick Chubb go in so many different rounds and so many different drafts. It's all over the place. 11th round, I can stomach the risk there as a 4th running back. That's nothing but upside. That I can live with. I got to go hammer some wide receivers here. But Jaleel McLaughlin goes next at 11:05. Tyler Lockett went at 11:03 before I selected Chubb. Erickson, you got Justin Fields. You plucked him away from me, but he's your second quarterback. Are you going to take a third one to back that up? Is it time for a boring quarterback, or is it time for a running back that you wanted real bad 2 weeks ago and you fell 1 pick short?
Yeah, see, I'm learning from my mistakes. That's why we practice. That's why we do these mock draft exercises. So, yeah, missed out on Fields and flex. Got him here. Missed out on J.K. Dobbins and flex. I got him here. So, yeah, that's why my name is Flex Needs a New Shirt. There we go.
Yeah, there you go. After J.K. Dobbins goes, Chuba Hubbard goes, Grimm is up next at 11:08. Debro, you're on the clock for 11:09 after Brian Thomas goes off the board.
Again, still adding to the running back room. Rico Dowdle, I think that he can take over that backfield. I'm not worried about Zeke. Zeke is cooked. Dowdle's easily the best running back on that depth chart, so I'll take the swing here.
I agree. I took him 2 weeks ago in the Expert League draft. I'm in on Rico Dowdle too, man. This costs you almost nothing to find out. Mm-hmm. Venom is up next with a pick, so Josh Palmer goes after this. And again, just a reminder, if you haven't already, download the Draft Wizard. Go join our Discord, too, because we've got a whole mock draft room in our Discord where people are literally mock drafting all day. So if you don't want to just mock against the simulator, then you can go to fantasypros.com/Discord, go mock against real people. Like I said, all day long. And then on Monday, free mock draft Mondays where they're just going bananas there. I did one with everybody on Monday too. We try to pop in there and do mocks with everybody. So get in there, join the Discord. We got shows going on live in there before they go to the podcast feed that we're recording. Lots of fun stuff on the Discord. And This is the time. Again, sync your leagues for free. Use the tools for your draft, and then use the tools all in season as well. Next up on the board, Tyler Algier at 11-11, then Gus Edwards next at the turn. Baker Mayfield finally in the 12th round. What a value! Come on! No respect for the Baker Mayfield season last year. It's QB 10 last year, folks. 4,000 yards, 28 touchdowns, 10 picks. The disrespect. Unbelievable. Brandon Cooks at 12-12. Rashid Shaheed at 12-03. Debro, you're on the clock at 12-04. What you gonna do?
I made the pick that you've been struggling with, Joey, that we were talking about before the show. Considering the quarterbacks that are left here looking for a QB3 and looking at bye weeks, because again, if you're in Superflex, this is something you need to be considering, whether you're starting QB or you're looking for their quarterback. I needed a guy to fill out the third quarterback spot that did not have a bye week of 12 or 14. I went with Sam Darnold, and right now we just got the news this morning about J.J. McCarthy, the knee injury, and the torn meniscus. It could be anywhere from 4 to 6 weeks, and J.J. plays possibly somewhere down the line later in the season, or this could be J.J. McCarthy out for the entire season. So right now, I'm fine with taking the swing on Sam Darnold, considering, and then really this is just a bet on KOC. And what we saw out of that offense last year with Josh Dobbs and Nick Mullins, they're going to pass. If Darnold runs, he's a really good QB3 for however long that he's the starter.
After Sam Darnold goes, Derek Carr goes right after, then Jameis Williams, and then after Jameson Williams, who off my cue, Erickson took another quarterback, Daniel Jones. Now, this makes a lot of sense from this build. You have Fields with all the upside, and you have Daniel Jones, who, look, from a rushing standpoint, you know he's going to get you some points there. I think this is a really good situation here. How do you feel about getting Jones in the 12th?
I have the team rushing quarterback. Richardson, Fields, Daniel Jones. I don't care what they're doing as passers. I just want them to run the ball. And we see guys get hurt that way sometimes, and that's why I have 3 of them.
As I continue to take more shots at running back, Romeo Doubs goes at 12:08. Now I took Jalen Wright at 12:09. I don't know if I trust Devon Achane. I certainly don't trust Raheem Mostert. So Jalen Wright in the 12th round, nothing but upside. I've been doing it in a lot of drafts. He's become my favorite sleeper running back. So I'm building some running back upside. I need to hit wide receiver. And I did not think with Terrell there needing some running backs that Wright would make it back to me. Maybe I'm right. Maybe I'm wrong. Either way, Wright is mine. Charbonnet goes next at 12:10. JJ McCarthy still gets drafted at 12:11. Terrell, you took Bryce Young and then Roshan Johnson at 13:01. So you took Roshan ahead of Khalil Herbert. Oh, Herbert did already go, correct? I'm looking at the board. Yes. Trying to look at Khalil Herbert. Did he go? Maybe not. No. So let's talk about it.
Not yet.
So why Roshan over Khalil Herbert?
Well, Roshan, I think, is one of the best backs in that backfield. And as soon as Swift gets out his way, then he's going to have a good opportunity. And he played with the starters in the preseason. He played early down role. I think he's the more explosive of the backs. And I've been calling this Roshan Johnson breakout for a season now. I think this is really it. I think that he's going to be able to do it on the ground, and he's going to build himself an opportunity in this offense. And then I took Bryce Young as well because, well, Tua and Patrick Mahomes, and you have to watch out for this, both of them have a bye week 6. So I needed somebody that I thought was going to have a good week in week 6, and Bryce Young gets to play the Atlanta Falcons, who have no pass rush.
I hate what I'm going to have to do here with this next pick coming up. I absolutely hate it. After you took Bryce Young and Roshan, Trey Benson goes, then Dallas Goedert goes. The man with INJ next to his name permanently, but I'm looking at this board and I hate the rest of the wide receivers. So I'm going to have to throw out Mike Williams and just hope for the best. I hate myself for this pick.
You could have drafted a non-wide receiver too. You do have that option.
No, I didn't. Not at this part in the draft. No, it's not an option here. It's fine.
Joe said to himself, I need to invest in an Aaron Rodgers offense. I need it.
I just didn't have enough Jets shares. Maybe I'll take the defense when it comes back to me. Kendre Miller at 13:05. Russell Wilson at 13:06. What are you doing here? You're taking all the Pittsburgh quarterbacks and Daniel Jones. You got 4 quarterbacks on the roster. You're getting a little greedy here, Erickson.
I think I'm playing smart. It's Superflex. I want the quarterback 2 at a time. And then I cut the one then I have an empty roster spot, and I cut the guy that stopped playing. There you go.
All right. Or you trade somebody, right? You could always make the deal. So acquiring talent, that's fair. You took Russell Wilson over Bo Nix, who went next. You heard some positive buzz about Bo Nix in the preseason. Are you buying any of that hype, Andrew?
So I do think that he does fit the system really well. So again, Bo Nix put up yards at Oregon because he fit the system really well there. And even though I'm not high on Bo Nix, the talent, I think that Denver offense, given how they're going to throw the ball a decent amount, they have a lot of running backs that are exciting. I think that you could see some fantasy goodness, maybe to average level, at least better than last year from Denver. So.
Yeah, well, normally I would take a third QB, but unfortunately you took them all, so now I'm kind of stuck. All right, after we have Bo Nix go, Josh Downs goes at 1308. That injury really suppressing his value, so if you liked him before, you got to love him now. Dontavian Wicks, D-Bro, big one play from him this weekend. That does not slow the fantasy football community's love of Dontavian Wicks when you see plays like that, does it?
I thought I heard a loud, deafening sound this weekend in Canton, and I thought it was the sound of Dontavian Wicks' ADP screaming upward, and yet he's still here. And Andrew Erickson, apparently, like, I gotta ask you, why do you hate Dontavian Wicks? Like, I figured you would have drafted him before me, sir.
Well, it's because it's Superflex, and I needed a quarterback, so.
That's fair.
You need a quarterback. You got 12 quarterbacks. It's just Superflex. It's not Superflex, Erickson. There's only so many you can play at a time.
Wait, Joe, how many quarterbacks took a snap last year from the Black Book?
A lot.
How many?
I think it was 81 or 82.
84. So
yeah, there you go.
I got the most quarterbacks because we're going to see a lot of them, a lot more than 32 play this year.
Most of them will be on your team, too, from the way you're drafting these guys. Dalton Schultz at 13-10, then Khalil Herbert at 13-11, Antonio Gibson at the turn, followed by Khalil Shakir to start the 14th round, Damian Pierce at 14-02, Elijah Mitchell at 14-03, and then Marshawn Lloyd, another guy dealing with a bit of an issue with the hamstring right now, falls in your lap at 14-04. So, D-Bro, I think things are looking up in that RB room right now.
It's looking pretty good now, man. I mean, it's going to be a roulette wheel. I need some, not that we're all wanting or forecasting injuries, but if we get backfield clarity, maybe injuries happen because we're already seeing them right now in the preseason, so can't doubt that it happens in the regular season. I think I have some guys that can emerge from this running back room, and I know I've only got 5 wide receivers, but again, that's why you don't invest that heavy into it. If you're going to invest high-end picks into wide receivers, you don't have to draft 6, 7, 8 wide receivers on your team if you're going to invest all the early round equity into that room.
Yeah, and then look, the injury is going to suppress his value a little further. There's no doubt about that. Ty Chandler at 14.05, then Pat Fryermuth 14.06. Erickson, one of my favorite guys, Tarnell Mooney at 14.07. Mooney, I think, is one of those dudes that just gets a little overlooked. There's going to be opportunity there in this offense. It can't just be Pitts and Bijan and Drake London. Somebody else is going to be out there. So I'm looking at, 6 targets a game maybe. If you can make the most of those in a PPR, Mooney could be a useful 12-point player some weeks.
I mean, he's the only receiver on the Falcons that has 1,000 yards. So, like that.
There you go. Xavier Legette goes next, then Drake May to me at 14.09. Gardner Minshew at 14.10, then Jalen Polk. Jahan Dotson to Terrell, and then Terrell, you got another pick here at 15.01. What are you doing?
Yeah, I just the run on running backs with Marshawn Lloyd and Elijah Mitchell, Antonio Gibson, those were a bunch of guys that I was looking at. So I couldn't force it. I just went wide receiver, my best available. Jahan Dotson, you've seen him this weekend, and what this offense can be for the Commanders. I think he's going to be really good. And then Adam Thielen, he's been reliable all this far. And hey, maybe I make a trade at some point in the season. I get rid of one of those top end wide receivers, get me a better running back, and I still have a lot of guys that I trust week to week.
Still a lot of options there. All right, here we go. Defensive run. Baltimore Ravens, New York Jets. Then I jumped in with the 49ers. The Cowboys went next. A.D. Mitchell to Erickson at 15.06. Thoughts on Mitchell this year? I think that's the player that you talk to different scouts. You watch different people's takes there. They're kind of all over the board. What's your take on Mitchell heading into 2024, Andrew?
I think that he's extremely boom or bust, and that's very much what he did at the college level. He had a really high highs and very low lows, so I think it's going to be more of the same with the Indianapolis Colts in that roller coaster ride that is Anthony Richardson, who happens to also be my quarterback. But the reason I'm now kind of drafting Mitchell a little bit more is because of this Josh Downs injury. Well, in the preseason game, they moved Mitchell into the slot a little bit more because they are trying to figure out, okay, how can we use this guy? So originally with him behind Alec Pierce on the depth chart, it looked like he was facing an uphill battle to get on the field. But now the Colts are open to, hey, let's get this guy in the slot as well as moving him onto the outside. So I think he's an exciting prospect. Again, I don't think that he is perfect by any means, but if he's going to have an early season opportunity, I kind of want to see it and stash it on my bench before he has a big week 1, and then I miss out on him on the waiver wire.
Good reasoning there. Cleveland Browns goes next at 1507. Then TJ Hawkinson, 1508. Javon Baker to Debro at 1509. Ray Davis at 1510. Then Estime goes next. Kansas City Chiefs defense ends the 15th round. Cole Kmet begins the 16th. Then Pittsburgh Steelers goes next. 1603. Trusted Venom to make a selection here. Debro, defense to you, I assume, here with your last round pick. Who are you taking as the Saints just went off the board?
2 in my queue right now. It's either the Minnesota Vikings, who will blitz the ever-loving crap out of Daniel Jones in week 1, or I'm going to go with the Chicago Bears. I mean, we saw what they did to close last season. They were top 5, top 7 fantasy defense every single week. Opening the season against the Mayo Man himself, Will Levis. 2 picks and a possible defensive touchdown. Can't rule it out.
Can't rule it out. All right, so after the Saints go, the Bears go to Debro. The Bills up next to Grim. Erickson, 1607, your final pick. What do you have?
Looking at defense. I'm not on the clock yet. Someone else is
You're on the
going.
clock in 5 seconds. So
okay, well, my defense might be gone. I can't give away my strategy.
Well, they already picked the Cleveland Browns. They took. I don't think they're taking 2 defenses. So Jerry Jeudy goes. Now it's up to you. So what defense are you taking?
Never be too sure with our mock.
Not with this group. That's
not
true.
with this group.
That's fair.
I usually take the Seahawks because they played Jacoby Brissett and Bo Nix in back-to-back weeks. But to spice things up, I'm going to take the Detroit Lions and future Defensive Player of the Year, Aiden Hutchinson.
Let's go.
So there you go.
Let's go.
I love the Aiden Hutchinson pick. I like the Lions pick there too. DVR up next at 1608. I hope he does not snipe me. I have a feeling he will. He did not. It was one of the 2 players I was looking, but I got a ton of RBs. So I'm going to go ahead after Kamani Vidal goes. I'm going to take Pop Douglas off the board here. And we will wrap things up here with 3 more picks. Bucky Irving at 1610, 1611 to Stick Pig. Terrell, what defense is going off the board to you?
Oh, I'm fading my Giants. I'm taking the Minnesota Vikings. I think this is going to be the lowest total on the board when it's all said and done. This is going to be a low-scoring game, some type of 17-14 final.
The grades are in. B+ for Joey P. It feels like a B+ team, to be honest with you. But I like this squad. I would definitely go to war with this one. I finished 4th, Trusted Venom 1st, Navy 2nd, DVR 3rd, Joey P representing the Fantasy Pros, running the draft, doing ad reads, picking players, asking questions, still finished above you jabronis. That's right. Grim at 5, Rel at 6, and then somewhere down there are the other 2 guys here. Let's talk about who liked the draft, who didn't like the draft, the expert opinions. I love the breakdowns, the steals, the reaches. You can do a full pick analysis after every single draft. And remember, if you're just using the mock draft simulator of Draft Wizard, you can make a couple picks. And if you don't like the way the team looks, you can undo them and go back and make different ones. That's how you get better. And when you know it, Joe Pisapia gave me an A+. Love that. Andrew Erickson gave me a C. How dare you? Also, Worm gave me a C. You guys been hanging out way too much together last weekend at the Expo. How dare you give me C's? How dare you?
I mean, the rankings say what the rankings say. So I got to see.
Well, the rankings say I'm 4th, and
I got to see what your team is again.
I don't want to see you. You were 10th, and I'm 4th.
It's because I didn't get Geno. That's why. No, it's probably because Marvin Harrison. It's probably you got Kirk Cousins in round 4. I mean, is Kirk Cousins in round 4 that much better of a value than Geno Smith in round 9?
Yes, 100%.
Are you serious?
Kirk Cousins has stacked up QB1 seasons for years.
Geno Smith is a QB1 half of his seasons.
I remember when I had my first beer. Clank.
He's also not coming off a torn Achilles.
One time had a good season. That was great. That's a great story. You got to love that. All right, let's break down who liked your team, Andrew Erickson. Did I give you a C? I hope I did.
Nope, it's nowhere to be found because I avoided your expert opinion here. So I don't know. I don't know what you would say. So I know Andrew Erickson loves my draft, and Dalton Del Don, friend at Yahoo Sports, who I know is very high on Anthony Richardson. He also loves my draft. A+.
All right. Terrell, who loved your draft? What experts maybe love, hate, a little bit of this, a little bit of that?
Oh, well, Worm loved my Malik Neighbors, Dalton Kincaid, and Jahan Dotson picks. So shout out to Worm. But nobody around here hated my picks, but I know Christopher Dell over there at Betting Predators, he didn't like my Patrick Mahomes or Tua pick. Like, neither one.
How do you not like Patrick Mahomes?
Man, what is Tank Dell's brother doing? Come on, man.
Yeah, that's brutal.
Christopher Dell.
Debro, let's go through your expert opinions and let's go through this roster of yours. Joe Burrow at quarterback, then Jalen Warren, Tajay Spears, but you've got a lot of other RBs here. The wide receiver room is stunning. Olave, Nico Collins, DK Metcalf. Then you have Terry McLaurin at the flex. Kyle Pitts is the tight end. Then Jaden Daniels is your super flex QB. The Bears defense, backups, Darnold, Dowdle, Dontavian, Wicks, Jerome Ford, Javon Baker, Marshawn Lloyd. Feels pretty good, D-Bro. Are you happy with the way this draft went? Where do you think you might have went wrong? What does the draft wizard say?
Well, right now, I was even hard on myself. I only gave myself an 87 as opposed to the usual A+++++. Got an 80 out of 100, and I like the team. I think there is definitely a ton of upside, and so I think looking at projections and where I scored in this, the hard part in medium projections for all of these different guys is to capture that type of upside. So I think looking at that type of upside in this build for 0 RB, I mean, I've got a ton of upside in the running back room. Love the wide receivers. I think if you're going 0 RB, I would have really liked to have gotten, Brian Robinson Jr., Devin Singletary to lock in volume in at least one of those running back positions. But the fact that I didn't get that, I still took upside swings, still feel really good about the team, although I would like to have the pick of Kyle Pitts back and maybe gone the 2v2 of a running back there and seeing if I could have gotten George Kittle at my next pick.
Okay. By the way, just as a reminder, the winner of this draft was Trusted Venom. Jordan Love, Joe Mixon, Ramondre Stevenson, Jamar Chase, Ayuk, Stephon Diggs, Dalton Schultz, Brian Robinson Jr., Trevor Lawrence, then the Saints, McConkey, Palmer, Cortland Sutton, Shaheed, Elijah Mitchell, Ray Davis. I like this team, but I got to be honest with you, Venom. I don't love it. I love Jordan Love and Jamar Chase. The rest of it feels balanced. I feel a lot of good picks, but outside of Chase, maybe Ayuk, I don't know a lot of guys that really move the needle in a big way. Let's get to Terrell's team here. Patrick Mahomes, Jonathan Taylor, Devin Singletary, the Neighbors, Moore, Deontay Johnson, Dalton Kincaid, Jackson Smith and Jigba, Tua at the Superflex spot, Vikings defense, the bench, Bryce Young, Jacoby Myers, Curtis Samuel, Dotson, Thielen, Roshan. You got a lot of wide receivers and a lot of depth here. Terrell, how do you feel about this roster when all is said and done?
I would like another running back, but it just nobody really fell to me, and I wasn't going to make a forced play. I feel good with Jonathan Taylor, and I feel fine with Devin Singletary. And maybe Roshan is exactly who I think he is, and I can rotate them interchangeably. But the wide receiver depth, I feel really good about because I think that a bunch of those guys can hit, and I think that if it comes to a situation where I need a running back, I have the trade pieces that can actually go in and get me one.
Erickson and his many quarterbacks, Anthony Richardson, Devon Achane, Josh Jacobs, then Justin Jefferson, Waddle, Rashee Rice. Great trio there. Mark Andrews, well above average tight end. Fantastic. Xavier Worthy at the flex, all the upside. Then super flex, Justin Fields. Detroit Lions defense, the other bench players, Daniel Jones, Russell Wilson, Chase Brown, A.D. Mitchell, Darnell Mooney, and J.K. Dobbins. Erickson, how do you feel about this team?
It's okay. It's not my favorite team. I mean, I gave myself, or overall, I scored a 79. I got a C+. So I think it would have felt better if I was able to land Geno Smith at round 9. That's kind of where I was hoping. I was punting the second quarterback here. So just TVR, tip my cap to him.
That's a good drafter.
Sharp drafter.
Going against good drafters. That's how you get better. You go against good drafters. So I think that for me, it's not a looker, I would say. It's not a great looking roster week 1, but I think that once we come into week 2, week 3, week 4, when I have to use that bench depth, when we get hit by injuries, I think that this team will have a fighting chance.
Hey, look, Worthy and Rice certainly going to have a lot of action. Marquise Hollywood Brown's going to be out 4 to 6 weeks to start the year. That just came through while we were doing the draft. So there you have it. So all of a sudden, Xavier Worthy thrust into a bigger role potentially right from the jump. Here's the Joey P roster in case you want to know. Jalen Hurts at quarterback, Alvin Kamara and Javonte Williams are the RBs. Yeah, okay, it's not exciting. But A.J. Brown, Marvin Harrison, George Pickens, Travis Kelce, Christian Watson, that's exciting. Kirk Cousins, Old Faithful, my brother in Cole's Cash at Superflex. Then you have the 49ers defense on the bench. I took some shots. Austin Eckler, Nick Chubb, Jalen Wright. I like all those shots at RB. Pop Douglas, Mike Williams, and then Drake May at quarterback. Andrew Erickson, what do you think of this roster?
Again, I think that you took Kirk Cousins too early based on where the other quarterbacks went. I think that he's closer to that tier of the Geno Smith than he is up near Trevor Lawrence, Caleb Williams, Jared Goff, those guys. That's just my opinion.
Fair enough. Terrell, what do you think of Kirk Cousins? I mean, I understand it's not the sexy pick, But let's see, 2020 quarterback 11, 2021 quarterback 11, 2022 quarterback 7. Last year only played 8 games, so it can't really have it, but he was on pace at the time. He had 18 touchdowns and 5 picks and 2,300 yards. So if you want to extrapolate, guess what? That's another QB1 finish. What do you think about Cousins, Terrell?
I think it's a good pick. I think that, you can always question where you took him at and was it a little too high? But I think Kirk Cousins is always the guy that people let fall. And then they're like, oh, wait, I'm getting Kirk Cousins here. This is going to be a top 10 guy. Let me grab him. Like you just said, hey, that's my guy. I'm going to go get him and draft your guys.
Yeah, I'm not waiting for Deshaun Watson or Aaron Rodgers. Once that group goes, Cousins, I got a much better feeling about. But how do you feel about that? Drop your comments below. What do you think of Kirk Cousins? Did I take him too soon? Did I take him just right? How is the porridge? I want to know. Let us know. Drop your comments below. Again, don't forget, Fantasy Fest is happening on the 19th, Monday, live 3 p.m. Eastern, 5 hours of wall-to-wall football live here on our YouTube channel. Ring the bell till it goes ding for notifications. Join us. And again, who won the draft? You like Debro's team? You like Andrew's team? You like Terrell's team? You like my team? Let's be honest. But seriously, who won the draft? Who lost the draft? And also looking at some of these rosters, what do you think of Superflex construction of some of these? Shout out to our Discord folks too, fantasypros.com/chat for joining us today during the draft. Always a good time. That'll do it for us, but the story of the game goes on. For Derrickson and Terrell, I'm Joey P. We'll see you next time, kids.